Hello everyone, welcome to the Pinkun.com Norwich City podcast on TV as well. Number 359 on the way. We are Premier League. I mean, we're sort of doing it by association. We need another vote. That's not Brexit. And 1 point left. That's the title challenge. Not a comment about this podcast. My name is Michael Bailey. Hello there. We are with you in audio form and, as I mentioned for once, in glorious full video on the Pinkun YouTube channel, I believe, and Pinkun.com. And joining us right here, this top flight of a Monday afternoon, although it's not as sunny as when I wrote that, here at Archant Towers. This is where we work. We have Chief Norwich City correspondent Paddy David. Happy promotion, Paddy.
Happy promotion, Michael. You got a new job?
No. Well, I suppose, yeah. Anyway, no. And our corresponding colleague, David Freezer. Hello, Dave. Happy promotion.
That reminds me of when we bumped into Mr. Webber at Kenilworth Road in pre-season. And he said, "Happy New Season Day." I never heard anyone say that before.
They say that in Wales. And of course, Tony is manning the camera. You'll never see him, but you might hear from him if he starts chirping up with helpful advice, which he's very good at, to be fair. Thanks for watching.
He's becoming like Niles' wife in Frasier. Never see him.
It's a strong reference. Go on, Tony.
Like I said, it's the stick. Nine seasons down the line, I'll take the helmet off.
And it'll be someone else. It'll be the eighth incarnate. Anyway, how jovial. See, this is how the podcast works. Paddy, how are you? How are you well rested after a busy weekend?
Well rested. Went to bed at 2 Sunday morning, up at 8, working through till about 11 last night.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty that you've put me through this, Norwich City, but yeah, very tired. But it's all in a good cause. So as we can see in front of us on the table, all our hard work in print form. Who knew that you can get papers as well as websites?
And they admit that, I think I tweeted it, and Dave, you mentioned it, I think we all did. It's nice to have papers, especially in situations like this, isn't it? It's a bit different to an iPad and a story on the web that, you can't really pick up and hold, can you?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's just, and they all encapsulate what was a phenomenal achievement, which has felt like it's a long time coming in recent weeks, of all the avalanches of post-match content. I did see a clip where Webber was talking about it. His overriding emotion was relief, because it's felt like they were here for 2 weeks and he was almost like, how would I feel? But it's kind of, it's done now, they're over the line, which is a little bit harsh, because maybe it'll be the summer when the football has fallen silent and we can just pause and take a breath, that the full scale of this achievement will come into its rightful context, because it is a phenomenal achievement given the conditions that they started this season, in terms of the financial pressure, the untried and unproven squad they were trying to meld together. Unbelievable. Indeed,
absolutely. And we'll definitely maybe it'll be after Sunday, but we'll get stuck into that in a bit. Dave, how are you? How's your world?
Yeah, fine. I got to bed about 4 o'clock Saturday night.
That's not competition.
Yeah, I thought it was.
That's because you were going home to have beer. That's what.
I had a couple of beers when I got home. Just needed them to be perfectly. I mean, we didn't leave the stadium till after 12, did we? So, I couldn't really get to sleep, to be honest. I was still just sort of. We were so sort of heads down amongst it all, weren't we? That it was all kind of happening around us while we were busy doing stuff, and which is great. And you're soaking in as much of it as you can, but it wasn't really until I got home and really started watching back all the videos and going through a lot of the stuff that we'd actually sort of churned out during the night that it really started to sink in. So it's been tiring to an extent, but great, great memories. And like you say, that it's great to sort of have the printed product. The EDP is £1, the Evening News 85p, and it's a keepsake. You stick that up in your attic and you look at it in 30 years or whatever, and what a great thing to be able to do. So print still has its value, and I've enjoyed playing a part in pulling it all together.
We are doing a great job of selling this. This is good salesmanship. Well done, boys. We should also mention that if you're listening to this or watching this, I'm going to go full sale now, and you think, well, I want a copy of the paper, then there is a way of ordering them online, and it doesn't matter where you live. I think there's means of us getting them to you. I can't remember what the email address is, so perhaps Dave will have it. Oh, go on, Pat.
Reader services, all one word, lowercase, services plural, @archant.co.uk.
There you go. So you can have a copy of the EDP Evening News, whichever, and there'll be lots of other supplements, I think, and what have you over the coming weeks. So get hold of them, because we know for a fact, and we've been doing this. I mean, this is the 11th time in Norwich City's 117-year history they've been promoted. It's just 11 times, that's all. And obviously only a few of those are to the actual top flight. And we know because we've been sharing the pictures from 2011, 2010, from 1986, I'm seeing how many I can remember now, 2004. You know, these images, they stand the test of time. This is the view now, here and now, of Norwich City's promotion in 2019. It won't tell the whole tale, of course, but it'll tell a good portion of it.
Absolutely. And more to come. Yeah, I mean, we might as well go full salesman mode. We'll have a 56 pager this Friday, teeing up.
Are you doing that one?
Not all of it, no. No. Most of it, no. Then we'll have another supplement, which is hopefully celebrating a championship this day next week, a title, which we'll get stuck into, I'm sure. And then, of course, the parade is on this day next week, so yet another pull-out. So you'll be rhymedly sick of pull-outs by Tuesday of next week, but... as you said there, in its context of 117 years, this is a special time, so why not make the most of it?
Bang on indeed. Okay, well, just before we get fully into the football chat, remember, you can get in touch with us here at the podcast to set your thoughts or help set the agenda for us. Just send an email to thepinkun@archant.co.uk or get in touch via all the usual social media channels, both Pinkun and our personal ones. Of course, we've had loads of messages over recent weeks, so we've still got them and we will plough through them at some point, probably not today. And make sure you don't miss a single podcast. I say through the rest of the season, but there's probably only a week or two to go, but of course we'll be back next year and we'll be with you during the summer. You can do that by subscribing. You can subscribe on YouTube, of course, to our YouTube channel, so you should definitely do that. And you can also subscribe to the podcast, and you'll find the details at pinkun.com/podcast. Now, regular listeners to the podcast this season will know Mr. Davitt played a blinder by digging out Football School, the amazing quiz book. Here it is.
Basically, there's a shelf by our desk. I might have just walked past and knocked it with my elbow, and it dropped out. So there wasn't a lot of thought went into it.
You haven't put it down since.
Oh, it's compelling reading now. I've got a blinding one again today, boys.
Oh, straight in there.
No more preamble required. The question this week, gentlemen, is... how did Spanish keeper Santiago Canizares rupture a tendon in his foot?
Easy.
We've had this one.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah.
I probably still can't remember the answer.
No. What do you think the answer was?
Can you remember what the answer was?
Yeah, we have had this one.
But I think I knew that anyway, so I don't know if it was because of this book.
Well, I was just reading that out. Potentially that could be an
a good
option.
one
I didn't
you'd
say
read,
that was the question.
Exactly.
I said that
draft.
It was a good one you
first
caught.
draft. Okay.
I mean, it has to be said, we set the question now and we give you the answer on the Pinkun Norwich City podcast Extra Time, which you can watch and listen to on the app. So get that if you haven't already got it. Getting the plugs in here tonight, aren't we? Jeez.
Right, here we go. Now you come to mention it, I do remember reading that out in the dim and distant past.
Long few weeks.
As I said, yeah, long weekend. Right, this week's question is: the phrase "an underdog" is often used to describe a team not expected to win a match.
Correct.
Such as when Bulgaria beat Germany in the '94 World Cup quarter-final, or US beating America for you. US beating America? US beating England in the 1950 World Cup.
Norwich getting promoted.
Indeed. This term was first used in the 19th century, originating from which of these activities? Dog fighting. And there's a helpful explanation. The dog expected to win was the top dog. So there you go. Dog fighting. Dog racing. The most timid dog would sit under the starter's chair. Dog flying. Dog flying, as in airplane flying. The weakest dogs always flew the lowest. This is very surreal.
Dog flying?
Dog flying, yeah, maybe.
That was a little yeah, okay.
Dog selling. Some scrawny dogs sold for less than the registered price. Wow, there you go. We've definitely not had this question before. So where does the phrase "an underdog" originate from? Is it fighting, racing, flying, or selling?
I'd go A or D, but I'm not sure which.
It's got to be A, although that's quite sad because it was dog fighting, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Don't give the answer now because we'll hear it now. But Pad's going to have a look. Don't give it away in your face.
No, okay.
Tony, what do you reckon?
Well, there is a film called Underdog, which is about a superhero dog which flies. So you never know.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know that, Tony. I'm the one with kids, but there we go. I'll have to check it out. Okay, well, Yeah, let's go with flying dogs, because I still can't imagine how they're... Anyway, we'll figure that out. You have a think about that yourselves. And as I said, you'll catch the answer on our Extra Time podcast, which you can catch on the app. Just search Pinkun, 2 words, in either Google Play or the App Store. So, that was the week that was. I've got written here, they're the words, not necessarily in the right order. Norwich are promoted. I hope you caught that. How silly do we all look after our pre-season predictions, eh? I can't remember. We listed a few of them off. I think Tony's helpfully put them out so everyone could laugh at them. But it wasn't just us, was it? I mean, come on, no one saw this coming, surely.
Well, amongst the many emails I've had in recent days, somebody sent me an email where the TalkSport generator had put 18th for Norwich. So 18th, 10th. I know who's looking more foolish. Those two predictions with. Let me think. West Brom, Leeds and Middlesbrough to be promoted according to Mr. TalkSport. So you've got that to look forward to next season, that cutting analysis. But I don't. I mean, Webber, again, I remember him saying in one of them post-match interviews since Saturday night that he'd seen nobody predicting that they would do this, and there's a simple reason for that, because they finished 14th last season and were going in the wrong direction. It wasn't like they come upwards. They actually finished the season far poorer than they started it. So in that context, with a summer where you lose Maddison and Murphy, you create a fulcrum. Entirely plausible that you wouldn't look silly predicting that they were anything better than 14th was incremental progress. But that takes me back to what I said right at the start of the podcast. This is an unbelievable achievement, because nobody with a game to go would have bet on Norwich already being up with a point guarantee you winning the title. It's just a phenomenal achievement, and it's a hat tip to Daniel, Stewart, all the players, all the backroom staff, and in recent times the fans, because they fully bought into it. Again, I thought Saturday the atmosphere was spot on. Before the game, during the game, all areas of the ground. It wasn't just one pocket. And it's an easy thing to say, and Daniel has said it often, unity. Well, it feels like a unified club on and off the pitch.
100%. And I think about, they obviously lost Angus Gunn as well, which was quite a key part of the season before. Remy Matthews was there, but they didn't want to risk him, because they felt, you basically, if you have a goalkeeper who's not strong enough in the situation Norwich are, you might have a relegation issue on your hand. That literally what Daniel was saying at the time. So that they clearly at that point had, I'm sure they were very confident of the work that they put in, but they weren't willing to test it to a degree that gave them unnecessary risk. So that kind of said it all.
Yeah, the bookies were offering them around 10th favourite, weren't they, at the start? I think you get 20-1 with Sky Bet for them to win the title before things had kicked on. I stuck with my prediction of 10th pretty much, I think, from pre-season through until it started. But I do remember, I think it was when we did a live video when the fixtures were released, and you came round our desks and got opinions from me, Paddy, Chris Slakey, Ian Clark, etc. And I remember saying in there that there was always the potential for something to click, and that there could be something special that would happen this year, but it really would take all the forces aligning. And none of us were expecting Timu Pukki to score 28 championship goals, were we? So that was obviously a big thing. But I felt quite nervous ahead of Saturday night until I got to the stadium, and then seeing everyone's smiles and chatting with everyone, and everyone's excitement to be at the stadium again, because I feel like that is there now. Supporters can't wait to get to Carrow Road. My nerves had calmed down quite a lot by the time we were in the press box and the football was kicking off. And the way the players actually executed under that pressure of needing a point after 4 successive draws was just brilliant. So that's reflective of how well they've done this season, that they managed to put in that performance when it really mattered.
Yeah, absolutely bang on. This question has been asked quite a bit of all of us, I suppose. So I'm going to ask it to us now, because it's our platform. But see if there's anything new to offer, or any insight into it, in that. How has this happened? What is it that's made this turnaround from where they were last season for you guys, and what you've seen?
Well, you can pick out the individual elements. They've touched on it there. Recruitment, Timu Puki, Emi Buendia, stunning impact for debut seasons in English football. Far in excess probably of what the people who recruited him would have expected. So, that's a factor. The faith in youth, and then for that youth to step up and say, hang on, Max Aarons, I belong at this level, I'm going to show everybody. Ben Godfrey, Jamal Lewis kicking on again. And then man management. He's clearly a very good coach. They all say the same, and he improves players, whether you're at the Alex Tete end of the scale or the Max Aarons. And his man management, because again, we've seen now in this period since the turn of the year, no Grant Hanley, more or less. Tim Closer, very limited impact. Tete, Rhodes, yet they're all fully on board. You can see that in the scale of the celebrations and the outpouring of togetherness, fighting spirit. So that's good man management. So it's individual elements. What they all come together is that philosophy that looked like it wasn't kicking in as anybody had hoped last summer. They stuck with it, and maybe that's what it boils down to, that they didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as the saying goes, and thought, yeah, you know what, this isn't really working, we've tried this, see you later Stuart, see you later Daniel, and we'll go back to type maybe and get a more traditional domestic sourced type of manager. So it's to the credit of the board, you would have to say, that they went away, that much has been made of these kind of away days they had as a board, as Stuart and his staff, Daniel and his coaches, and clearly the upshot of those 2 or 3 days away at the end of last season was, no, we feel there's enough progress. Okay, it might not have been visible on the pitch in terms of the final position in the table, but we feel we're still doing the right things and it will come good, and that faith has been amply rewarded.
Cool, just a bit. What do you reckon, Dave?
Yeah, that was my immediate reaction, that sticking to the Farker way, really. When Stuart arrived, obviously he arrived a little bit before he appointed Daniel, didn't he? And he said right from that moment, patience is going to be needed. We're putting in a whole new structure here, a whole new way of thinking, a whole new Norwich way. And obviously that was tested a lot by the end of last season. You think we finished last season nearly a year ago, losing 5-1 at Sheffield Wednesday with James Maddison on crutches and a £20 million transfer in the balance because of a knee ligament. And from that point on, yes, the recruitment has been absolutely spot on, because Stuart has found those pieces to complete Daniel's jigsaw almost, doesn't he? He knew what he wanted to do. He knew the style of play that he was looking for, but he's also shown a huge amount of intelligence in how he adjusted from last season, what he learned from last season. And I remember with Lambert's era, we talked about them being quite swashbuckling, didn't we? And that they almost took that approach of we'll score more than you. They scored a lot of goals, but when you look at the fact that Norwich are a point away from the title, and yes, they've scored 91 goals, but they conceded a lot of goals along the way as well. They're far from the best defence in the league. So Daniel and Stuart wanted more entertainment. The fans wanted more entertainment. They certainly got that. But that would, for me, my instinctive answer to that question was that they've stuck to what Daniel Farker wanted. They've fully backed him. So yeah, that would be my answer. It's
like you say, they've had 2 years of work at it rather than 1 year, which is sometimes all a club is willing to give, isn't it? Especially if it's not, it's hard to see the progress. And you just then factor in the amount of transition, the amount of changes. As you said, the fact that it's not like Swansea might have this issue this summer. And Stoke as well. They had that framework and they built on it, but they also removed all the biggest talents they had in the team last year. Normally that would then set you back to, okay, we need to try and get back to where we were last year, because we literally lost all our goals and our goalkeeper. So just to then do it so you progressed even further without those talents staying with you for another season, just phenomenal. All right, here's a devil's advocate question. How strong has the Championship been this season? Is it? It's a difficult one, because I think Wolves swept the board last season, but they spent a shed load of money. The teams that have come down, they've maybe not been as strong. There's been 2 crisis clubs. I'm by no way belittling Norwich's achievement, by the way. That is not the point. But it's just a curious one, I suppose. Horrible question, really. Sorry, gents.
You'd guess you'd need to put it in the statistical context of previous seasons. The point spread, as you say, Leeds, Wolves seemingly felt like, I know they had a bit of a stumble getting over the line last season, but it feels to me like the spread of the points and the fact that Norwich are on 90 plus and they still haven't secured the title. Leeds have been bang at it until falling away around Easter. So I feel it's quite a close championship. Whether that means it's a better championship in terms of the quality, I don't know. That's subjective. But there's some big clubs, and it's a cliche to talk about big clubs. But there are now, the Derbies and the Sheffield Wednesdays and Villa, West Brom. It feels like every year now that championship gets increasingly more competitive, and the level playing field as well, irrespective of clubs coming down, as Norwich did with parachute money. It's been proven. It's not a guarantee. Stoke this season, Swansea, you might come down a wash with cash, but you come down with a lot of problems and a lot of churn. So I don't think that's quite the leveller some would have you believe, that it's effectively whoever comes down this coming summer now will be straight back up because they have all this money, but they also have a lot of problems to have to sift through. So for me, is this a good championship? I think it is. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's taken some getting promoted, never mind winning the title. So, for me, yeah, it's. But whether it's any better or worse than previous seasons, again, you'd have to go and have a look at what the numbers tell you, I think.
I think it's as strong as it's ever been, as competitive as it's ever been, without having a standout team like a Newcastle or a Wolves. There is some financial disparity even in the division. You look at Bolton are obviously in a mess, Ipswich don't have much money, Rotherham really punching above their weight, even Millwall are to that extent. So to that degree, yeah, there is sort of division within division. But I just had a quick count up there. Norwich have won 18 of their games by a single goal. So as much style as they've had, and as brilliant as there have been great moments like winning 4-1 at Swansea, 4-0 Sheffield Wednesday, 3-1 at Leeds, that they have had to really, really fight and scrap. And as Daniel says, well, he keeps saying, doesn't he, that it's the toughest league in the world. 46 games, it's so intense. How many times are there 2 games in 4 days or 4 or 5 days? It's incredibly intense, and the way they've managed to sort of keep their heads amongst it all has been really impressive. Because as we saw when we went to Rotherham, or even in the home game when they took the lead at Carrow Road, didn't they, that there's a lot of spirit and a lot of well organised teams. It's not easy to score against teams, but the away form in particular has been brilliant, whereas maybe at home it's not been as convincing, and they've almost at times had to show more spirit at home, haven't they, when teams have been more resolute and made it more difficult for them. So I still think it's a great division, and the whole adjustment of the sort of Norwich City viewpoint on it this year is that I feel like everybody's like, great, let's go up, but I don't feel like people will be devastated if Norwich do come straight back down now, because everyone's bought into the project almost, and they know that next year will be tough. There is a risk that it's not going to work out, and they probably are going to get some drubbings along the way. But if they came back down, I think people would be like, all right, great, let's go for it again. Think how good it was last time.
This segment is called That Was the Week That Was. For the record, Norwich beat Blackburn 2-1. Right, I bet you're looking forward to seeing this on camera. I know these two boys will be. Gongs of the week time. That's right. And we've got no flashy graphics or anything, but I can tell you that first up is the big Duncan Forbes hero of the week. Who shall we give it to? I think, Paddy, we should start with you because you got double digits out.
Yeah, well, Mr. Vrancic, yeah, it's hard to look beyond him, although having said that, apparently he's not in the Who Scored team of the week. Go figure on that one. What a goal. And what a crucial part he's played in this defining phase of the season. Had to bide his time, was unlucky. Injury took him out of the side in the derby, having been the Championship Fans Player of the Year in January. But what an impact he's had of late. Goals and assists, and his all-round game. But, we might be wanting to be a bit twee and say there was 11 plus subs heroes this weekend, because it feels a bit harsh to single one out. But, yeah, it's hard for me to look beyond Super Mario.
Indeed. The first 10 you've ever given out ratings?
Oh, I don't know. I don't pay a lot of heed to ratings, to be brutal. When they won at Wembley, I probably gave them all 10 that day. So
Yeah. That's the way to treat ratings. See, stop taking them so seriously. Phenomenal efficiency from Mario Vrancic, because he hasn't started that many games, hasn't really played that many minutes, but what Norwich have got from those minutes, I think he's incomparable to all the other players, to be honest. Absolutely stunning. Do you want to give it to him or anyone else, Dave?
No, got to be Mario for me. This time last week on the pod I was saying that he had to start, didn't I? It didn't matter really where, he had to be in that team. If he wasn't going to be in alongside McLean in midfield, then I'd said that he should be in for Hernandez or Steepman further forward, because he had been exceptional and he'd earned that opportunity. And when you consider that he missed all of pre-season, the first 6 games of the season because of a groin problem, the amount he's contributed to this season has just been ridiculous, really. Winner at Reading, the only successful penalty, which was a winner in the 86th minute at home, 2 goals at Leeds, the injury time equaliser against Sheffield Wednesday, and now, well, what for me is the goal of the season. We were very fortunate to be in perfect position as he struck it, and as soon as he shaped up, you thought, hello, this is going in. And just the way it bent away into the top corner was beautiful. So yeah, he's very much hero of the week for me. Much like
Emi Buendia's outrageous flick against Hull, I had my head in my laptop when Mario Vrancic pulled the trigger, so I missed it. All I remember is hearing Dave go, "Oh!" in full Gary Neville style. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And it's in. So I can only picture it in terms of the sound of Dave's voice raising in pitch, which was lovely, of course. Kevin Muscat Villa. Oh, just on Mario, by the way, I still think of the point you made, I think it was probably last week, that he took 4 free kicks in the warm-up at Stoke, missed them all, and then he did that against Sheffield Wednesday, but of course also did it at Leeds. And just those big moments from Mario, I mean, that goal at Leeds is important as any.
In practice.
That's the way we operate as well, isn't it? I think.
Big moment, isn't he? Quite clearly.
That's the way he says so much about him. Kevin Muscat, villain of the week. Hope you're watching, Kevin. What did we? I was struggling a bit with this one, but what are your nominations? Dave, go on.
I think Lenihan should have been sent off in the first half for Blackburn. He took Pukki out after a terrible bit of control in his chest. Pukki goes clean through and only gets a booking because I think Ben Williams was covering, but I think that foul was bad enough, cynical enough that should have been a straight red card, because he is just opened the door, Timo Pukki's gone through it, and then he's just taken his legs out. As far as I'm concerned, if that's not a red card, then the law needs adjusting, because he's going through and he's probably scoring there, but it was very cynical.
As Dave's describing it, there's a very good parallel. Grant Hanley, Portsmouth FA Cup. Yeah, tell me, what was the difference?
I suppose it was a bit closer to goal, Hanley's one, wasn't it? But you're right, it was very similar, wasn't it? Yeah. And Hanley did clatter him a bit. But yeah, Lenihan just took his legs out, and it was totally cynical.
I mean, the point is you sort of take into account other defenders, don't you? But by definition, it's denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Well, the Championship's top goal scorer was through on goal. He's quick. He was probably going to have a clear goal scoring opportunity. So that's basically it, isn't it? Really,
but if he was gone, they probably would have got the 4 or 5-1 that they deserved, that their performance deserved, if Enel Hernandez hadn't have been away with the fairies most of the game.
Hey, he was in the team of the week for who scored. So don't.
Awesome and terrible, wasn't he? He was like the most scintillating performance of the season, but he just didn't finish anything, did he? He was the one that hit the bar. That was a cracking effort. Lovely pass from Vrancic, by the way, which opened it up. Cuts onto his right, hits the bar. But the one where he tried to pass to Pukki when it was just put it away, and then literally that would have been it. The party would have been started, the poppers would have gone, Caro would have been going mental, but no, O'Neill decided to try and pass it.
Well, we all love a winger. It does come with a package sometimes, doesn't it, Pad? How about you? You got a villain? You're normally good?
Well, you just stole me thunder, Dave.
Oh, Dave!
Although, I feel a bit harsh having said they're all heroes, to then pick out one as a villain. But yeah, because for the simple reason, if he strikes 1 or 2 of them in, it goes 3-1, and then it is relax. Not saying it was fraught overly, because I thought the game management was good in the last 15-20 minutes, but that wouldn't have made it a lot more comfortable, serene passage to the final whistle and promotion. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's an area of his game he has to improve. His numbers in isolation, you get to the end of the season, you'll see the goals and the assists, you think he's had a good season, and he has had a good season, but you feel there's so much more to come from him if he could just develop a maturity to his decision making and when to pass and when to shoot. And unfortunately, we saw the frustrating side of his game on Saturday.
Well, next season might be a good time to bring that maturity. Let's fingers crossed. My nomination would be Ipswich. I watched the Sheffield United game, generally thinking, "Go on, Ipswich, do something. That would be fun." And you know what? They put a lot of effort in. But if that team finishes in the top half of League One next year, playing like that, I'll be amazed, because they were woeful. I mean, literally awful. And I know, they had their odd moment, but that side just looks hideous. So there we go. Good luck. Paul Lambert, if you're still there. Simeon Jackson moment of the week. We just call it the celebrations to be done. But just phenomenal moments to watch.
Well, Vrancic goal, as lovely described by DF. Yeah.
Oh. It was a lovely moment. I think I just went Mario. Didn't know what I but
you had the
I almost went a little bit commentator, I suppose. I don't know why. It was a big moment. A bit twee to use a word that you just used, Pad, but Kenny McLean's son scoring in front of the river end in amongst all the celebrations. I think it was Kenny McLean's son. Anyway, the fans seem to have worked that out from, I guess he had Kenny on his back or McLean on his back or something. But in amongst it all, just when things were dying down, at all the celebrations, it was, madness. And then just as the players were sort of getting themselves together for the lap of honour, little McLean goes through on goal, totters his way through, the crowd spot it, and everyone joins in, don't they? Oh, as he gets closer and closer, he hesitates, then finishes it off, and the whole ground cheers as this little kid, he must have been about 3 or 4 or something, and he was just like, wow. It was brilliant. It was just like a heartwarming moment. It really was.
If he becomes a footballer, professional, that will probably be the moment. Another little one was Daniel Farke. This just stays in my head. He did a full lap. Obviously, having already done all the celebrations, he then did a full lap of Carrow Road and every corner demanding, "Hey, hey, hey!" We all know what they are. And so he'd been out there for about half an hour. He then wanders over to the tunnel. He's basically the last one out. He's like, I'm going now because this is going on a while. And there's about 20 City fans in the City stand and going, no! And they do it to Daniel and he's like, oh yeah, 1, 2, and then he just walks off. It's like he'd had his fill. He'd had his fill. He's like, oh God, more. So, fair play Daniel. He gave everyone what they wanted to the very last. Brilliant. Okay, well, we're going to leave mailbag because we're going to have loads over the summer and we'll probably do some special pods on that very subject. So, of course, keep your questions coming in on all our social media feeds and at the email address, thepinkun@archant.co.uk, which takes us to the week ahead. We're going to probably expand on this more in our Extra Time podcast, which, as I said, you can watch on the Pinkun app. But congratulations, Sheffield United. They are definitely officially promoted. That's all done because Leeds missed out with the ridiculousness home to Villa on Sunday. So Norwich, Sheffield United, Chris Wilder and Daniel Farke can continue their football love affair in the Premier League. I'm sure a few national journos might pick up on how that story has evolved over the last season or two. And of course, the title situation, which is the one thing left to resolve itself. Dave, can you give us a quick rundown of how that looks and what needs to happen?
Very simple. I mean, in simple terms, you can just say they've got to match Sheffield United's results, but it's not even that, is it? If Sheffield United lose or draw, Norwich have won the title. So they're away at Stoke at the same time. Everyone plays at 12:30 on Sunday, don't they? So whatever happens, Norwich should be celebrating. They're firmly favourites as we go into it. Could be like that Sunderland game in 2004, couldn't it, when they lost but won the title because West Brom tanked away to Stoke, I think it was. Yeah, that's nice. Nice little symmetry. Hadn't noticed that. I think they lost 4-1 at Stoke on the night. So, we'll remember that one for some. I have to double check that that's accurate though. But so yeah, nice and straightforward.
Nice and straightforward indeed. And it's so, I mean, in terms of the situations and scenarios, they are heavily weighed in Norwich's favour. The good news is Sheffield United are definitely celebrating their own promotion, so that's good news because Norwich have been. Whether the Blades can take their drink better is probably a different question. But there is no denying. I mean, I checked it. Leeds and Norwich have both been top of the table for 20 match days each this season. Sheffield United have been top for 2. And I know that's not relevant at this point, but Norwich deserve the title, don't they, as we sit now?
No, yeah, absolutely. Joint most wins, is it? Certainly scored the most goals. Amply entertained, all and sundry. So it would feel a tinge sour for me if they were having to sit there at Villa Park and pictures coming through with Chrissy Wilder holding the trophy aloft. That wouldn't be a great way to end the season. But as Daniel said, icing on the cake, but they've already got the cake, so I suppose the realism would swiftly kick in, but it would feel a little bit like they've been shortchanged, and particularly in this scenario, because forget the fact I think they were 7-8 points clear of Sheffield only about a month ago, so full credit to the run that the Blades have put together. But if Norwich, from this, just isolating what we got on Sunday, Norwich are 3 points clear. They just have to basically get a point. It's guaranteed. If not, then as Dave says, it's relying on Stoke to do the business. To not take it in those circumstances would be disappointing, let's be brutally honest.
Yeah. And in a situation where Villa have nothing to play for, as I say, we'll probably talk about more of that in the pod. What we do know is there is going to be a parade on Bank Holiday Monday, so that's just the day after, of course, the Villa game. That's going to be at 9 o'clock and congregate around City Hall. I've just realised I haven't actually had the time to read any of this stuff, but it's City Hall, isn't it, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it starts from City Hall, and then there's 2 buses going. I think they must go for. I'm not going to guess, but they go from the city centre down Castle Meadow down towards Tombland. That sort of vibe, isn't it? Usual thing.
And of course, you do that in the morning. You can then take in Russ versus Wes, the celebration match at Carrow Road. I don't know what time that kicks off. Is it 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock. Yeah. Let me just see. I think the route will be in here.
Go on then, Dave.
If you feel some time.
Oh, thank you. Great. Cheers. Always good on video. Go on then, Dave.
So the parade will start, or the bus tour, starts from outside the Forum. They go down Theatre Street, turn into Red Lion Street, down Castle Meadow, and is that? Upper King Street, then into Tombland, down towards Palace Street. So they're heading down towards the Cathedral by that point, aren't they? So it's the sort of recognised route, a bit like the Run Norwich route, isn't it, as well? But yeah, people congregating in front of City Hall. The celebration will start outside City Hall at 9 a.m, where BT Sport host and Canary Sport Jake Humphrey will be comparing talks with various City players and coaching staff.
Well, there we go. I think I'll take my boy and everyone. It should be a cracking occasion. The fans will be flooding to the streets. I mean, it's an early start. I suppose normally we're used to them being in the evenings, Paddy, but it should be quite the day, shouldn't it? And it gives a bit of kudos to Russ and Wes and their day. I think the players are going to be there as well, aren't they? They're going to do another lap of honour and all that sort of stuff. So maybe they'll have a championship trophy to parade, which would, I think, be most fitting, wouldn't it?
I'd be really interested to see what it's like to go drinking with footballers who don't normally can't drink, certainly much during the course of the season, because they obviously have strict diets and stuff, but for Sheffield United and Norwich players to basically be allowed off the leash for a few nights, I'd imagine that they'd get drunk quite quickly. Like, I can't imagine a professional footballer being able to neck 6 pints or something without being absolutely smashed. So I'd imagine they've had a few good days.
I'm sure they have had a few good days, and hopefully they will focus their minds in a couple of days' time to get a little bit of preparation in, especially as we're speaking to them later in the week. That could be quite some of them, that could be quite interesting if they can manage coherent sentences.
I'm sure they'll be back into game mode by that point.
Sure, well in a way they are consummate professionals, as they've proven all season. The Pinkun Show is coming up on Wednesday from Departure Lounge. I'm checking with Tony, with the Canaries Trust, and Dave, you're going to be there, aren't you? There's a bit of food on, so
yeah, I'm going to pop along. If there's free food, I'm there.
Paddy, you might have something better to do.
At the walks.
Oh yes, of course.
King's Lynn.
I mean, that's a cracking story as well, isn't it?
You know, I keep it real. Unlike you boys, you only bother with Canaries. I like to spread the net wide in the football family that is Norfolk.
It's your home away from home, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, basically anybody who's not aware, Kings Lynn Town in the playoffs semi-final in Culverhouse, of course, looking to go one better than they did last year, which was they failed in the playoff final. So, but to finish second, which guarantees them home advantage both Wednesday night, and if they get through, then maddeningly Monday afternoon. So I'll be in Kings Lynn again, so I'll miss the Russ game, but firstly they need to win Wednesday night. I think they've got Stratford at home, so good luck to the boys. Yeah,
we'll all be cheering them on here, of course, because it'll be a fantastic story for Norfolk football, and especially, of course, Ian Culverhouse, what a job he's done there again. But I think that's it. Any other business, Pat?
No, that's it. I think DF's normally the one with any other business.
Any other business, Dave?
There was a stat I was going to throw in. Obviously, they conceded within a couple of minutes of scoring the other night, and that's seven times this season in the league that they've conceded within 5 minutes of scoring. So that has got to be something they've got to fix in the Premier League next year. That's not good enough. And 5 of those have been at home, weirdly. So I guess that's a bit of complacency. Maybe even the crowd need to calm down a little bit after goals. I don't know. It's
be a killjoy. Can you stop celebrating? We've got to not concede.
Or maybe just everybody just needs to concentrate a little bit more. But maybe help the players to concentrate. Maybe the whole stadium needs to be going manager style to the players.
I like that.
That's got to be fixed.
Well said. Good any other business. I'm not going to mention substitutions, although was quite perplexing to have more injury time because you're making substitutions in injury time on Saturday. But Daniel Farke, there's not much to criticise him for. Why would we? Norwich are promoted to the Premier League, which we will talk about in the bonus podcast, as well as the answer to Paddy's quiz question, which I know is why you're all here, really. But that is it. We are done. After
or not.
We are done though. Thank you for watching and listening, be it on YouTube or Audio Boom in the podcast feeds. We really do appreciate it. It's been a cracking season for the podcast. It's not over yet. Remember Pinkun.com for all the latest Norwich City news and analysis, if I can say it, opinion, transfer insight and Premier League opinion. We'll be back with you on Tuesday next week, I think. I don't even know if I'm in, but we'll figure that out. We're trying to work out what will happen tomorrow for the time being. So make sure you get in touch, get involved with us, of course, because this is your podcast as much as it is ours. We'll answer that earlier quiz question from Pad and talk about some other meandering stuff, of course, over in the Pinkun Norwich City podcast extra time. I think I've sold it. Get the Pinkun app. Until then, here's to sore heads and memorable moments being signed off with the championship title. After all, they don't half deserve it. Cheers, Dave.
Cheers.
Cheers, Pad.
Cheers, man.
Cheers all. Cheer.